To those around her, the woman you are about to meet on our show here also had it all, and like Owen Wilson, it simply didn't seem to be enough for her.
Depression is just something that there are no words for.
4 years ago, Courtney Walsh was battling severe depression.
You can sort of just live inside your head and wait and wait and wait. And then one day sometimes it just feels like it explodes.
But it wasn't always this way.
It was a pretty happy childhood, really, very normal. I was the happy-go-lucky kid. People liked me. I liked them. I traveled a lot in my 20s. I had adventures. I had love affairs.
However, as she moved into her 30s, her life started to separate from her peers.
Well, a lot of my friends were going on to Noah's Ark and pairing off 2 by 2 and buying homes and doing the white picket fence thing and having babies. I just thought, life is moving fast here, and I'm missing a lot of important things.
Sadness began to overwhelm her. But this upbeat, witty woman rarely let it show on the outside.
It started to feel like I was sinking, and I didn't know what to grab onto anymore.
At 32 years old, Courtney was fired from a job and forced to move back in with her parents. Tormented by insomnia, she went over the edge when her younger sister announced her engagement.
Leading up to my sister's wedding was really when things started to slide further and further towards rock bottom.
Courtney toyed with thoughts of suicide, unbeknownst to her family.
There was that part of me that thought, you know, it'll be hard and they'll be sad and they'll grieve, but they'll be relieved. On New Year's Day, 2004, I decided my only New Year's resolution was not to be here anymore. So then I went online and I started researching carbon monoxide poisoning. It seemed the best way to go. I pulled the car in to the garage and I turned the radio on and I turned the engine on. I remember that tears were streaming down my face and I felt like all of those months of pain were finally going to end and I was going to have some peace.
Joining us now, thank God, is the author of Lipstick and Thongs in the Loony Bin, and we're going to get to that title. Courtney A. Walsh. Also, psychologist Karen Binder-Brines is with us as well. Courtney, it is good to have you here. You left off, you were about to commit suicide with carbon monoxide poisoning. You said initially, right leading up to that, that your parents were disgusted with you because of your behavior and you were down. They were the ones who saved your life.
They were. My dad they came home from the emergency room earlier than I had imagined, because whoever heard of a short trip to the emergency room?
Why were they there?
My mom had a, well, that's a weird story, but we had gone on a walk and my mom had been shot by a BB gun in her knee.
There's a whole other story.
Yeah.
You were in the garage at that point?
I was in the garage, I was in the car, engine running, listening to the music, and my dad came in and smashed the window open with his 9-iron. He's always been a golfer, thank God. And basically then it was 911 call and screaming and swearing and lots of, drama. And I was pulled out of the car, and I remember when the EMT tried to fasten the oxygen mask on my face, I kept pushing it away.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the title of the book, because it's so important that you're here to talk about this. And this is a topic people do not want to talk about.
They do not. There's a lot of taboo.
Is that the purpose of the book?
Absolutely. I believe that the taboo is part of the problem. It's a huge part of the problem. Lipstick and Thongs is sort of like we all put on a facade every day. Yeah. And we want to look good, we want to present well, we think it's really important to be upbeat and perky all the time, and it is. We want to go through life with positive energy, but if inside that doesn't match what you're presenting, then you do a disservice to yourself.
And you actually went into what you called a loony bin.
Yes.
For 6 months.
Therapy.
You were treated, yeah, but you were there. I mean, you were there, and you saw all sorts of things.
I sure did.
And all that's included in your book as well.
It is. And I think what was most interesting for me to find out, you get the feeling of I'm not alone, which is great, because there were a lot of mainstream people in there. There were therapists and lawyers and a soap opera actress who I will not name. And, it was just regular everyday people, and we were all just in pain and crisis, suffering.
That's the thing, when you're reading the book, you forget that, we're sitting in a big group of people here. There are people in here probably that have thought about this or thinking about it right now, people in our lives that we love thinking, I'm going to take my life. Doctor, give us a couple of the warning signs here of what we should be watching for.
Okay,
Her
well,
own parents didn't know.
Right. Number one, I do think that people sometimes know, but they don't know. There's a lot of denial about mental illness in this country, and some of the symptoms and signs might be depression, and particularly when someone's been depressed and then all of a sudden they become calm. That's a danger
interesting
sign.
that you say that. Because I think you were describing some of the things, and ladies, I'm sure you can identify this when, you know, all your girlfriends are getting married and you're like, no, I'm turning 38 and I'm still not and I don't have any kids, you know, and you lose your job, you have to move in with your parents again.
Yeah.
But well, a lot of people go through that, but what is it about some people that make them go that extra step?
Well, it could be a bunch of things. It could be that they've had things and traumas in their childhood that are deep inside that they haven't dealt with, but a lot of it is also brain chemistry. I mean, one of the things that we now know is how important the brain is, the chemistry in the brain, and there's still such a stigma about mental illness in this country. And as I always say, I say to my patients all the time, if I told you that your heart, if your cholesterol was high or your kidneys weren't functioning, you would think nothing of taking care of it and taking medication.
There's so many warning signs that you talk
right.
about and that you bring up in the book too. So after the show, or a little bit, we're going to go to the green room and continue this conversation, okay? So we can give help to the people out there.
And we're also going to meet Amy Lamb. Amy is one of your really good friends. Amy's own mother committed suicide, and so Amy had some thoughts on what you tried to do. We're going to talk to Amy in the green room as well, and you can log on to our website, emandjshow.com, for some more fascinating information on this book and how to find this book, Lipstick and Thongs in the Loony Bin.
It's
We'll continue the conversation.
www.lipstickandthongbook.com.
Lipstick and Thongbook.
So Courtney, do you think any of your friends and family had any idea that you were contemplating suicide?
I don't think so. I was very good at hiding it from myself and from others. I know that everybody seemed really surprised at the time. And they all expressed to me, we're so glad it didn't work, and we're so glad you're still here. And they were just really very lovely about telling me how important I was to them, and that would have left a hole in their life had I succeeded. Because they do say that the ultimate failure is a successful suicide, so.
Perfect. Now, Amy, you are Courtney's best friend. Did you have any idea that Courtney was thinking about killing herself?
Not at all whatsoever. I was in total disbelief when I did find out.
And how did she seem to you in the weeks leading up to the attempt?
At her sister's wedding, she was beautiful. She was articulate. She gave a wonderful speech. There was no signs that I knew of that led to this attempt.
Right. And your own mother committed suicide. What are your thoughts about that?
Again, the signs, if I knew the signs, it would have been easier to help her, just to know the signs.
Speaking of the signs, we have the doctor here. What are some of the signs that we should know about and look out for?
Okay, well, one of the first signs that's very important is previous attempts. If there have been previous attempts, that's always a danger sign that someone might be successful and try again. Obviously, depression, someone who's been down and depressed, but like Courtney, she was down and depressed, but nobody knew it. So it's very difficult sometimes to tell. Some people look very depressed, but other people, the depression is deep inside. Things like giving things away. Often when people are going to kill themselves, they will start giving some of their possessions away. That's something to be aware of. Also, putting their affairs in order. Especially someone who's never had their affairs in order, and then all of a sudden they're tying up loose ends, life insurance, things like that, that's a warning sign as well. But perhaps one of the most important warning signs is if someone has been depressed and anxious, and all of a sudden there's a calm that comes over them. That's a sign, as Courtney mentioned before. Once she was in that car with the carbon monoxide going, there was a sense of relief that I'm no longer going to be in this kind of pain. And I think one of the things that I'd like to add is that depression is pain. It's psychic pain. It's like a knife going into your chest and someone turning it. And people don't often give the seriousness to mental pain that they do to physical pain, but it can be just as bad. And people who are in that level of pain will do anything to get away from it.
That's great. That's really, really useful and helpful information. So Courtney, tell us again the name of the book and the website and where people can find your book if they want to get it.
Okay. It's called Lipstick and Thongs in the Loony Bin, and the link to order the book is www.lipstickandthongbook.com.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. Thank you so much.